is my talk on the Atomicals Protocol, and this is the digital matter revolution. Let's get to it. But first, I'd like to talk about the early days of the internet, to reminisce a little bit with you all here. In the early days of the internet, we had unprecedented connectivity. We were able to communicate at the speed of light and establish relationships across space, time, and cultures. I still remember the early days of internet relay chat and getting to meet people around the world where I didn't even know where they were physically located, what they looked like. All we had was our ideas, our communication, and our relationships to be able to collaborate together. It was truly a magical time. Some of you might remember ICQ a little bit later was one of the first, most in the early days of the internet. It was really an amazing time because we had freedom that we never experienced before, because there were always gatekeepers, whether it was the radio industry, the television networks, or Hollywood. It would seem like a completely different land, a distant land from all of us. And the early days of the internet opened that up so that we could publish and read and create together for the first time. It was really a magical time in the early days, but here we are a couple decades later. In the recent trends have taken a turn for, unfortunately, the worst. There's been an exponential growth of surveillance and data mining. Algorithmic control systems are completely out of control. AI technologies are just blossoming, and not in a good way. And we have money printing and value dilution. So we can't really retain what we create. It's such an uncertain time. There's more and more centralized and permission systems. Gatekeepers everywhere have sprung up. What we used to have was being able to talk directly with each other and being able to publish and consume how we wanted has been replaced by these overlords, these gatekeepers. Now we have different channels. They go by different names. The YouTube channel, the Google channel, the Amazon channel. These are siloed, vertically integrated structures that restrict us, but also have created great value for all of us, which we cannot deny. But it's a completely different world than what we experienced before. We have less autonomy, less self-control over our lives. So with that in mind, what are the forces driving Bitcoin growth and Web3 adoption? I want to put and share to you all to discover what it really is that's driving this movement. I believe it's the desire to connect, share, and collaborate, to go back to our roots that we experienced decades prior in the early internet. It's that desire to have authentic relationships with each other, to connect, to share, to invent and play and remix. It is the desire to truly own our lives and our destiny. It's about self-control. It's about creating our legacy and conserving the value that we create. It is really the dream and a promise of a better future that could be possible. This, I strongly believe, is at the heart of the Bitcoin and Web3 revolution. It is really the self-ownership revolution. Atomicals is a leap forward in the digital ownership revolution. What are Atomicals? Simply put, Atomicals is a powerful way to create and organize your digital value, digital matter. Some of the use cases of Atomicals are collectibles, art, media, in-game items, basically populating the metaverse with items that you own, that you control, not just living in some metaverse provider's database or some social media company's ledger, but you being able to own your items, your characters, your connections. Atomicals allows you to create collaborative media of all kinds, distributive event feeds, social media platforms. Really, everything will be tokenized. Everything should be tokenized that has value. The community itself as a token, social media profiles, websites, anything of value that's worthy of being recorded and traded should and will be tokenized. We can see the desire to tokenize and to to leave a mark on the world with users trading usernames or vanity license plates for vehicles. There's such a strong desire to track things that are of value to us. We just never had this as possible before. This is possible with Bitcoin and crypto in general, being able to ascribe and track value for digital objects. So at a high level, Atomicals has two major pillars. There's the non-fungible tokens. That's what we're here at NFT Paris to talk about, is the NFT revolution. And NFTs, broadly speaking, allows us to share and track images, files, basically media and art. Atomicals also provides some additional functionality for creators and all of us, is the ability to have digital identity and naming under the Realm Plus name system. There's decentralized minting, which I think we're all familiar with, being able to mint NFTs in different projects, but I'll share later how Atomicals handles that and what it provides the creator and the user. And the other pillar is the fungible tokens, also known as the ARC20 tokens in Atomicals. We'll talk about that next, and it's the world's first Satoshi-backed token solution on Bitcoin. And I'm excited to share that with you first, and then we're going to get into talking about the NFTs after. So here's a map to visualize the Atomicals protocol. We have fungible tokens, or ARC20, and there's direct and decentralized issuance modes, and we're going to talk about that right now to share what that means. So Atomical ARC20 tokens are different than any other token solution available, because they actually use the native Satoshi in Bitcoin to track value. Now, what this means is, instead of creating value out of thin air, you actually have to substantiate, or you have to back the token supply with Bitcoin itself. You create an intrinsic value because one Satoshi represents 1 unit of the token. So you can see this as like a digital gold content of Bitcoin backs the token supply that you work with. So there's always some minimal amount of Satoshis that represents that's part of the supply itself. It's not just you just create a token supply out of thin air with however many trillion coins you want to create, and it's backed by nothing except hope. Not to say there's nothing wrong with hope and being backed by all those things, but this is the world's first token that's actually backed by the digital gold content of Bitcoin. So what that means, a little more in depth here, is that we've solved the colored coins problem. That's been a long-standing problem for about 10 years. There's been many different attempts to create a token solution on Bitcoin, and it just never came to be. The value went to other chains like Ethereum, and only recently with ordinals and the inscription revolution has there been a new focus on creating tokens on Bitcoin. And what ARC20 brings to the table is that one Satoshi represents 1 unit of the token. It means that the tokens themselves are one and the same as Bitcoin. You can share, send, and receive ARC20 tokens just like you transfer regular Bitcoin. It is Bitcoin. And what this means is you can now create any token supply for an in-game currency, loyalty points, and there's an intrinsic value there. So you don't just have some imaginary internet money. You actually have imaginary internet money backed by the imaginary internet money of Bitcoin itself, which has intrinsic value and has proven itself. So it gives it real backing, real substance to the coins. And of course, with ARC20, there's a ticker name service, so you can claim and make your own ticker names up to 64 characters, and you can then tag your coin supply with any cool or interesting ticker name you'd like your users to know your tickers by. And because ARC20 is also an Atomicals digital object, you can attach images like an icon or logo or any other metadata that's important for your coin. Okay, and we could say that the ARC20 tokens are digital gold infused. right? There's an intrinsic value in a way that's similar to maybe a gold coin or a silver coin, that there's a value printed on the coin, but you can melt it down and extract the digital gold content. Or you could see it as a higher order items like a jewelry or a watch. Maybe, you know, the watch is no longer useful or broken. You can always melt it down and extract the gold. And that's the same thing with ARC20 tokens. You can always liquidate the supply because they're just Satoshis at heart. And an example is, with 1 billion units of the example token, that means there must be at least 10 BTC worth of Satoshis, because there's 100 million Satoshis per BTC. So that means there's actually 10 BTC of value in that supply. Let's see a visualization of what this looks like. So we start with Bitcoin itself, the raw material, and someone mints a token, an ARC20 token called MyCoin. And here they would decide how much, how much the supply, like how much there is backing the coin. And we basically tag those Bitcoin Satoshis with the ticker MyCoin and any other, image assets that the deployer would like to do. And once that's created, after substantiating their coin, they can then transfer it just like regular Bitcoins. They can split, they can merge, they can store it in their wallets just like regular Bitcoin. Here, you can send to Alice's wallet and Bob's wallet. And the magical thing is it all just works with the existing infrastructure with some modification to recognize that these are special Satoshis. We can then transfer them, maintaining the privacy benefits and the fungibility benefits of Bitcoin itself, but with the tokens being tagged or colored with the ticker or the image. And of course, since it's regular Bitcoin, then the wallets can store any number of these ARC20 tokens, and you can see them next to the regular Bitcoins, and then you have the various different Satoshi-backed colored coins in the users' wallets. And so now a world of tokens is now a reality, where the tokens are actually infused and backed by the digital content of Bitcoin itself. And this is, I think, a breakthrough in the way we look at tokens and underpin them with real value. It's like a reserve content for the tokens so that we can have tracking and the benefits of the creativity of different point systems, different currency systems for games and metaverses, but they're not just completely useless and only usable in that environment or that game or for that company, but they actually can be interoperable, and fundamentally they have the digital gold value of Bitcoin themselves. Say the game were to shut down or there's a change, you can always extract the raw Bitcoins, which I think is really neat. And I think a lot of people have found that really neat as well. So that's an introduction to ARC20 at a high level. And now we're going to shift gears to talking about NFTs on the Atomicals protocol. Well, simply put, non-fungible tokens are called digital objects in Atomicals. What that means is that we can convert any file, images, PDFs, videos, audio, any kind of document, we can store as a digital object and be able to update them and track the history of that object. So it really turns Bitcoin into a global database. It's a key value storage of files and data, and that keeps an immutable, auditable history of all the updates. So you can play back and forward the entire history of an object, kind of like a shared collaborative document. You can see all the revision history and you got the latest state. Same thing with Atomicals is that you can create in-game items or multimedia assets that go through different revisions, and the latest state is just a snapshot of all the changes combined, and you have an immutable, auditable history. So it turns really every kind of media into a token that can be updated and transferred right on Bitcoin itself. Everything is all on chain. This allows us to create an event feed or almost like a social media network on top of Bitcoin itself. And we can, of course, tokenize anything and everything of value. That's the whole point. Atomicals allows us to create and retain and transfer digital value. So one of the features and capabilities that Atomicals provides is for NFT projects to easily launch an NFT collection end-to-end. We call this DMint, for decentralized minting. The challenges of launching NFTs until now has been numerous. High technical barriers usually require a developer to help to code the smart contract or to make sure everything is fine. Even the marketplaces that provide tools oftentimes will charge high market placement fees. It's not uncommon to hear about 30% of revenue that goes to the marketplace that will host or launch a mint for an NFT project. There's just many standards for storage and metadata. A lot of them are off-chain, so there's no permanent record or consensus around what is the correct data. So prior to Atomicals, the state of the art was to have a whitelist and usually get payment or some kind of contribution from users in a Discord or Twitter comment. It was just such a mess. So what Atomicals DMint does is it takes away all that complexity and just automates the end-to-end process for creators and artists to create a cheap, simple, and efficient solution. Really what an artist wants to do is to create their art, build their audience, and let the system handle everything else, right? Not everyone should be a programmer or wants to be a programmer. That takes everyone away from what they love to do. So with Atomicals DMints, all a project needs to do is to provide a folder of images, some metadata, and a couple transactions on the Bitcoin network to initialize the decentralized minting process. It works for any collection size, easily for 10,000 items and much more. It's end-to-end, meaning that really there's very little technical knowledge that's needed. It should be drag and drop, and everything should be done on-chain and indexed and just work. So here we have one of the early collections. This is just a showcase of the decentralized mints on Atomicals. We have Toothy, which was one of the first 10,000 10K collections. And I'm just going to go through and just share with you some of the really creative and unique art that users have created on Atomicals. FKP Barra is another 10K project that was launched around the same time. And you can see here that these numbers represent the atomical numbers. That's the global sequence of the Atomicals NFTs that were recorded by the indexer. That's what that represents. And I'll note here, the hash sign represents, that's the container name or the collection name. So an NFT project can claim a container name or a collection name and get assigned their unique name that identifies their collection. And that serves as the vessel that all of the NFTs are minted under, so that users can easily find and authenticate that the collection is real and that the NFTs that they own do belong to that collection. Once again, this is all done in an automated fashion, so that the creator only had to upload or drag and drop the folders of their art and add some metadata, and the users were able to mint and claim these NFTs automatically, which we'll see a little bit later. Here's another project, Scientists, which is an exploration of one of the first collections, a 400 item collection. Atom Dragons, really cool art here as well. Dark Forest, this is a psychedelic space exploration. Really fascinating art has been created by our users leveraging the Atomicals protocol. We have Atom Wolf, another 10,000 item collection, and a smaller collection here of 9 items with Medici elevated. So what does that look like for the NFT project creator? Well, first, the container can be minted. A name is claimed by the project creator. They would claim that unique hashtag, and that would be their identifier for their collection. Once that's claimed, then they pick a logo under the mint logo section, attach metadata like a description, a bio, as well as then upload or drag and drop all of the items in their folder that they want to convert to NFTs. And finally, they seal the container, which is a way of saying that no further changes can be made. And that sealing process then activates the demint, meaning that users can claim the individual NFTs as their own and pay the transaction fee and pay the cost to put the JPEGs on, the images on chain to basically claim that individual item, so no one else can claim it. And once all the users have claimed all the images, that collection is minted out. And so the indexer does all the job of ensuring everything's linked up and putting everything into the collection. There's no need to hire a programmer or a website to organize and group these, because the metadata handle all that for the project creator. I'm really excited to see all of the upcoming projects coming. There's just a wave of projects starting to realize just how flexible the Atomicals demint is, and really just allows people to focus on what they do best without needing to hire developers to launch projects. Next, I'm talking here about the Realm name system. So the Realm name system is the first real competitor to the DNS name system that can actually go mainstream. This is built directly into the Atomicals Protocol. This was actually one of the main reasons for the Atomicals Protocol to exist, was to create a decentralized naming system, which we call the Realm name system. You can have realms for your usernames on social media, to host your website, to host your brand and connect with your customers, or just a project that you need to identify on chain. What distinguishes realms from the traditional domain name system is that there is no domain suffix. It's identified with a plus sign, and these are called top-level realms, or TLRs, which is in contrast to the domain name system, which are called top-level domains, or TLDs. These are globally unique, completely alternate universe to the domain name system. They're unstoppable and permanent digital identities that you own. So this is your Web3 digital passport powered by Bitcoin. The system itself is owned by no one and everyone forever. There's no middlemen. It is just the Bitcoin blockchain and the rules of the protocol that allow it to exist. The realms themselves are NFTs that can be traded and updated just like any other digital object. They're powered by the Atomicals core. Some of the differences from DNS and ENS are summarized here. So realm names have no registration authority. It's just the Bitcoin blockchain itself and the set of rules that govern its updating and transfer. Whereas DNS has the ICANN name authority that governs the assignment and transfer of names. It's a government bureaucracy that oversees the entire naming scheme of the internet. Then we have ENS on Ethereum. You have the ENS contract, and that is governed by the Ethereum name service contract. Renewals are on realms do not exist, because once you claim one, it is permanently owned until you transfer or give it to someone else. In contrast to DNS and ENS, you have to pay a yearly rental fee, a renewal fee, to have the rights to be able to use that name. Realm names are powered by the one and only Bitcoin itself, so it's backed by digital gold. It is backed by the proof of work of the Bitcoin network. DNS has no such thing. It is backed by the government bureaucracy. And the Ethereum name service is running on Ethereum. Realm names are identified by the plus sign. There is no domain suffix. Whereas in DNS, you have the .com or the .org, whatever .name at the end that the particular government department hands out names. That belongs to that domain. And Ethereum is identified with the .eth suffix. Realm names are read from left to right. So the name direction is the plus sign, the top level realm, the name, and then the subnames go to the right. Whereas DNS and ENS are the other way. The top level domain is on the right and it's read to the left. There's various technical reasons why they did this, but one of the advantages of realms is that your brand and your name is primary and first. It is much easier to create organizations and hierarchies when you have a prefix and then you group members or subdivisions to the right. At least for many of us that read from left to right. That's one of the major differences. So what are some of the things we can do with realms? Well, we can do decentralized social profiles, owning your digital identity and your online social media. Here's an example of Plus Bull Run, which is an upcoming 10K project, a daemon project on Atomicals. And I picked them because they put together a social profile viewer that allows you to set your avatar, your name, your bio, and some links, kind of like a link tree. And here we have their example of Plus Bull Run. All of this is stored on chain. So from the description to the image and the links are stored as a digital object, an NFT, and linked to their Plus Bull Run realm name. I think it's very cool. This is an example of what you could do, and the data is available to everyone because it's on chain. So you can create any kind of visualizer, any kind of viewer of these profiles. You can just imagine it's just a small step forward to display the user's social media activity and posts. And then you can even add interesting things where maybe users have to pay a microtransaction to be able to have the permission to message your brand or be able to post onto your social feed. Here we have another one. The Got Chubs is a NFT collection by Mod Ordinal, and you can see here that they have listed their NFTs below as well to showcase their collections. So this is just a great way to group your brand under one on-chain profile and then link out to your different projects and back. Next, we have the ability to issue sub-realms. So not only are there top-level realms with your plus name, you can issue sub-realms. And this really just allows you to organize your brand and also be able to monetize communities underneath or organize team members. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. So let's take an example. We have Plus Alpha. Well, any realm and sub-realm can issue any other sub-realm underneath. So here's an example. Maybe you have Plus Alpha and you'd like to have some web contact form. You can go .web and issue that to yourself, or you could give that to your social media or web manager to manage the information under that sub-realm. And here's another example. You can have a media team. Every sub-realm really inherits the same features as the top-level realms, and you can go any layer, any number of layers below. So you can create wonderful hierarchies for your organization, your teams, your communities. Everyone becomes their own registrar. Every one of these names, for example, alpha.team.bob, is a Atomicals digital object that can host cryptocurrency addresses. It can host websites and just generally be able to have any file hosted at that level. So this is just a great way to organize wallets and communities. So any of these sub-realms can receive cryptocurrency or host web pages. So just as I mentioned, realms are perfect for communities, groups, and memberships. You can create loyalty passes. You have the ability to create complex rules for payments. So for example, you could specify that users need to buy the subrealms from you. You might have some really interesting top level realm, and then you're going to sell the subrealms for any number of Bitcoins or any ARC20 token as a form of payment. You could create a community that has its own ARC20 currency, and to then take, to claim a membership in that community, you could specify that payment must be made in Satoshis or their ARC20 of the community. It's really flexible, a really flexible minting engine for communities to, once again, own and collaborate with each other. Talked about social media, and of course, realm names are just perfect for receiving and sending cryptocurrency of all types. Well, claim your realm name today. There's already been hundreds of, well, at least tens of thousands of names claimed, and I encourage everyone to claim their name. There is no middleman, there is no royalty fee to the protocol creator or anyone. There's just you and your name on the Bitcoin network itself. You just pay the transaction fee to be the first to claim it, or you look for the existing realms that are hosting subrealms that you could then buy or maybe claim for free. And I strongly encourage everyone to do this because our future depends on our digital sovereignty, our ability to own and have self-control over our social profiles, our online personas. And this represents a leap forward in digital identity that's not siloed to the Instagrams of the world, and it really allows you to connect directly with your audience. There's no centralized parties in between you, your brand, your community, to everyone you want to connect with. And I want to leave that with you to think about and to try it out. There's many services out there that allows you to claim and to set up your name, and it's only just the beginning. A little bit about the future focus. I'll touch on these here, and we can maybe talk a bit more about them in the Q&A. But the future focus for me right now is the Atomicals virtual machine, or the AVM. And this is a protocol upgrade that's going to allow smart contract programs to be run on Bitcoin. So just like we have the ability to declare and to update digital objects, we really should be able to create any kind of smart contract program that we're familiar with, like on Ethereum and Solidity. We should be able to create complex rules for games and collaborations that are coded directly on the blockchain. Then the rules must be followed for them to be valid. This is a very exciting endeavor. It's just also a very, very big one. So I know I'm a little bit scarce on details for everyone, but this is the big focus, is to then enhance the Atomicals base that's been created to then allow basically any program to be run on Bitcoin. Additionally, as I just mentioned, to claim your realm name is to expand the realm names ecosystem. So to adopt the name scheme in more wallets and services, so we can send cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, not just Bitcoin, but any cryptocurrency, to each other using realm names, to being able to host media and files directly on chain, so that we can start making a really good inroads into taking back our digital lives and not just letting our social identities be in the hands of the big gatekeepers. And finally, Atomicals is designed to not just be on Bitcoin, but Bitcoin will be the center, with the other blockchains as kind of radiating outwards from the Bitcoin at the center. Atomicals is designed to unify the other proof of work UTXO-based blockchains, with Bitcoin as the center, as the digital gold, and Atomicals as an interoperability layer that can unify the other blockchains. And not just in a way of having a parallel Atomicals universe where it's a completely separate siloed protocol, but instead treating them as one entity together. We really believe Bitcoin is the key to securing our digital future and securing digital value, and we're going to embrace that. But Atomicals allows us to bring value back to Bitcoin from the other blockchains, but also radiate outwards and taking advantage of the interesting things done on the other blockchains while always respecting Bitcoin at the center. That's another focus for Atomicals that looking forward to sharing with you in the future. And that's the end of my talk. Thank you so much for having me and being a part of this.